Peace to the fam, peace to the fam. No more, gotta show what we stand for. Shot down in the streets by another police. They wanna start a race war. My people gotta stay strong. Come together and we face storms. We can hold our dollar. We collapse their dollar. Incite our power. Take back our land. Hold back our dollars. Black power we stand. All of you depend on the next move. 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 Peace to the fam. 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 Peace to the fam.
Peace and Black Power family, you already know what it is. Welcome to another sa.neter TV House of Consciousness production, hip hop media news, hip hop news media, and we're about to get it in. The first brother I got coming up on the stage is my brother Black Dot. Excuse my voice, I'm still getting over my sore throat, and yesterday I couldn't even say these words. I was like, yeah, yo, come on, man. That's the way, you heard me, right? On the phone, so you can still hear it a little bit. Absolutely. So I don't even want to talk too long. I want to see what my brother got for us. Come on, brother Dot.
Peace out there in the social media world. I'm in the House of Consciousness, so you already know what it is. sa.neter is starting a new channel, which is going to deal a lot with hip-hop, so this puts me in a position where I can contribute. I only speak about what I feel I'm comfortable and I can really know about. So this is why you don't see me on House of Consciousness every time a topic come up, because I will be playing myself. So, but I'm comfortable when we talk about culture, when we talk about hip-hop, and let's get it. In the house with Red Pill, my son Malcolm is in the building. You know what I'm saying? And of course, sa.neter.
First thing you want to talk about is what? Let's go into the awards or whatever.
Okay, yeah, so I watched the BET Awards. And they almost putting the final nail in the coffin. I'm just going to let you know what time it is. Well, what we consider hip-hop. But I'm not here to just rant about, like an old school dude just ranting about, yo, they doing this, they doing that. BET, I used to always say, stood for Black Exploitation Television. But in hindsight, it's Black Educational Television, because we can truly be educated by what's going on by taking the temperature of our people by watching that show. So it's all depending what lens you go in and watch it with. Same thing with the Nat Turner movie, which we'll eventually talk about as we have in these conversations. It's our lens that we go in and perceive these things. So now when I watch BET, 5 years ago, I was pissed. I could see where the trend was going. I'm like, listen to this garbage that they're calling hip hop. But now I'm educating myself so that when I sit down with the youth, because this is their movement, whether we like it or not. See, we can't stand on the side and just criticize them, and this is their movement, right? That mumble rap shit is their movement, right? That's their thing. Like for us, when we had la-di-da-di, when we came to party, our elders like, what the hell is this crazy shit? For us, shit was dope. So as a matter of perspective, as I began to watch the show, I didn't recognize 80% of the names. You know how the show come on, they say, and starring Yachty and starring 21 Sa. I didn't recognize 85% of the names, but they kept calling this hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I, sat back and I observed the ciphers. I observed young M.A. We're going to talk about her or him or her or her, Shim, whatever you want to call it. So in essence, as I watched the show, I was educating myself on what they call hot, what it's really all about in terms of, I always like to differentiate between hip hop and rap. And for the sake of this particular DVD, I'll give a brief analysis of what I mean. We understand hip hop is for the people, by the people. An MC's duty is to walk his streets, walk his community, and tell you and reflect the community in his or her lyrics. MCs are intelligent. They have imaginations, double, triple entendres, stage presence. They drop a little history in their lyrics. They all can spit off the top of the head, and they write their own lyrics. MCs, for the people, by the people. And so they answer to us. and they will directly come to us and tell us so we can check them. Rappers, on the other hand, don't necessarily need any skill set. They need a few hot beats and a few mumble lyrics or whatever you want to call it, and they're in bed with corporations. Okay, so because they're in bed with corporations, when something takes place in our hood that needs to be spoken about, where MC would just step out and just give it to you raw because they're not down with corporations. Doesn't mean they don't do business with a corporation from time to time. Rappers have to check with their lawyers first because they got a $2 million deal with Sprite, and if Sprite say, no, nigga, you can't go in front and say that shit boom, 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 because you might lose that deal. So this is why when major events have been happening now in our community, the first thing you say is, like, where's all the rappers to speak on this, since they're supposed to be the voice piece of the people? Chubb Rock put a piece up recently, and he said, well, where's this generation's fight the power? Where's this generation's self-destruction in terms of songs? So we don't see a lot of that with this generation because corporations have got in bed and they run this. They cross-promoting, so now you'll see Lil Wayne on ESPN, the sports show. Since when a known or so-called drug dealer can sit down on ESPN, because it's not about that anymore. The cross-culture of this is all lined up now, so these guys are being honored on TV shows. They can go to the White House, puff up, you know what I'm saying, and all of this, because it's not about what you think it is. All right?
Hillary Clinton. Miss Super Predator. That's what she's known as.
Absolutely.
She just had a meet and greet with Pusha T.
Pusha T.
Not Malice, not the one who's the Christian.
No, she went.
Pusha T.
Wow.
Pushing keys. She had a meet and greet. This is Miss Super Predator. This is Mrs. Clinton, who her husband was responsible for eradicating what is known as the scourge of drug dealers under the auspices of the war on drug. That people don't accredit as a real war. The war on drug is as real as the war on terror. Now, we're familiar with the war on terror, and we know that because of the war on terror, you can't have an endorsement with Nike if you are identified as the Taliban. I didn't even say ISIS, because once you're ISIS, you are deemed, you know, not only a homeland threat, you're deemed basically a dead man walking. So if there was a war on drugs, how was it that the government, and remember, these are government-sponsored or corporate-sponsored, corporate and government is interchangeable, how is it that Lil Wayne is on ESPN? Absolutely. How is it that everybody that was signed to Universal, Def Jam, and all of that, when they launched the war, Reagan and Nancy, Ronald Reagan and Nancy and them were there when they launched the war. But keep in mind, everybody that they were signing from 1990 and onward were all identifiable drug dealers.
Facts.
This was, you know, when you come when you're a business or LLC, you have to have a mission statement. And in your bio, you have a target audience, and you have to have a mission statement, meaning that you have a targeted audience. And what do you sell? What's your product? They were selling drugs or the experience thereof, not prevention, not self-destruction, not any of these things. They'll try to rock you to sleep. Oh, I was just reporting on what I saw. Nigga. You live on a golf course. What did you see? Like, what are you talking about? What did you saw? You know what I mean? These niggas are like 8 years removed from anything ghetto. And they still rapping about. So you know that it's a farce. You know that it's a farce. You know that it's more of a money-making scheme when you know that the interconnection of the corporations lead to either the prison pipeline or to another profitable business, which is black body parts, black organs, black death. Because Black Death is a multi-billion-dollar market.
Absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself. So we have to be careful when we see all of this intertwined and all of these so-called rappers now, because like I said, they're rappers. They're not MCs. I'm an MC. I can quote that. Rappers are in bed and they're not trying to, and we have to understand this. This has become an out for those who further their education. It's becoming out for those who can legitimately own other businesses, because I'm going to say something that's going to shock the conscious community. There are people outside of the so-called conscious community doing amazing things. Running businesses, schools, education, all kind of things, and they don't know goddamn thing about what we call consciousness. So what we do as a collective is very important, but these guys are bypassing so-called education, or because I'm not against education, I'm not against knowledge and using a system that's in place to advance yourself. I'm against the mind control of going to school just to memorize their doctrines and all of that old craziness. But we have doctors, lawyers, scientists, astronauts, astrophysicists. Where are they coming from? We have a whole generation that is able to escape the system, which is cool, but their out has become sitting in front of their crib now, coming up with 16. And they don't even have to be an intelligent 16. It's mumble rap now. It's going to be gargle rap tomorrow.
Me and my wife was in the car, and I told her, babe, me and you could make a powerful record. Just put one of them country hip-hop beats on it, and we could kill it.
After that, it's going to be click rap. Yo, that nigga click is nice. You see clicking, son? Where's it going? Now, but I say that to say BET and what we watching is a snapshot of everything that's going on in our society with the voting and all that old bullshit, politics, conscious community, everything is on its way spiraling. We're in the purge. Now, if you understand what's going on, this is a real good time because motherfuckers need to die. I hate to say it, but so we can turn this shit over for those who are really here to do some real positive work. We got to get out of the mindset that we're going to save everybody. Some individuals came here to die. They're burning out, and the culture is, show me a nation's culture, and I'll tell you how advanced they are. That's how important culture is for us, has always been. And let me examine their culture, and I'll tell you if they're on the incline or they on a decline. So
when you take a fine-tooth comb, or when you put hip-hop underneath the microscope, what you will walk away with is the fact that hip-hop is now become a deaf culture. The reason why I say that is it promotes death more than it promotes life. It promotes misogyny. It promotes self-destruction. It promotes homosexuality. It promotes species terminus. It promotes abortion. It promotes the 4 deadly sins that lead to death. It promotes black on black death. It promotes drug abuse. It promotes suicide through drug abuse, misogyny. You know what I mean? So drinking lean, popping pills, popping bars and Xannies, all of these things. Drinking lean has been proven to burst hearts. Many people have died in their sleep based off of that. The pills are killing people in their sleep. They're promoting heroin, dosing on heroin. They're promoting sniffing coke. Niggas are ODing on that sometimes. They're promoting other forms of self-destruction. The adherence to the culture, the younger generation, the generation that they call the X generation, they're not, hold on, yes, all right.
Is it by design, the hand that we don't see? Everything that you said, me and Dot, we could all agree with you about that. But let's talk about the unseen hand, because all of this was by design. They don't want you getting in the booth talking about that beautiful black woman. They don't want you talking about that great culture where we were kings and queens. They don't want you to talk about that, the Moors history, the ancient Kemetic history. You talk about that, nigga, you're not getting in this booth. Talk about your woman. We need to hear you talk about how no good she is, how much of a bitch she is, how much of a hoe she is, how many times I will kill that nigga. Go in there, talk about your jewelry, talk about your cars. I want to hear that type of talk. So talk about the unseen hand that have a lot to do with this, brother.
First of all, shout out to Philip A. Muhammad. I revisited his book. When studying for the lecture, Fear of a Black and More Messiah. He is very important. His conversation that he brought forth with that book should be re-examined. There needs to be study groups. And there should be an update to that information as well, because what he was able to do that I haven't really seen too many people outside of the Nation of Islam do successfully is they were able to give you names.
Absolutely.
What is the
He
Illuminati?
pulled the skirt up.
Who would? Don't give me the bloodline family. Give me names and addresses. I need emails and Twitter handles. He gave you names. He gave you positions. He was able to link the corporate interests. Corporate interest would be known as the hidden hand. Corporate interest, hidden hand, is tied into government interests. Government interests are also tied into bloodlines and lineages and what is known as fraternal orders or fraternities or secret societies, because secret societies are the ones pulling the strings behind government, which are the ones pulling the strings behind corporations, which are the ones pulling the strings behind the people who are the pawns in the game, which would be contracted individuals who are contractually obligated to corporate entities and corporate interests. So if I'm a major corporation, right? And I have a major agenda. All I have to do is sign a major artist who has a major key, and he'll open up a major door, and I now am able to come inside of that door because I use you to open up the door. What is the door? The door is the hearts and minds of the people. The door is the fact that my child will not listen to Sumner Redstone, or he won't listen to George Soros or Rupert Murdoch. They see the devil in them, but they'll listen to Jay-Z. They'll listen to B. You know what I mean? They'll listen to Little Yachi. He got red dreads and shit. You know what I mean? They think that's funny. They'll listen to people with face tats because these people are seen as anti-establishment, living on life on the edge, flirting with death. But these niggas are calling a white man master or their owner. They're owned by a white man. They signed over their life to a European. Okay? They've never been known to put hands on any of the people that are robbing them, because everybody on TV One has a fucking story on Unsung about how they got robbed, but I don't hear any knockout stories. I don't hear any, you didn't go in there and turn shit up. You know what I mean? Because when you get caught out there and you become a contractual slave, there's nothing that your hands could do. There's nothing that a gun could do. There's nothing that a knife could do. That's what people don't understand. So they have to be more educated on the dangers and the perils of being contractually obligated to an entity or a corporation who never had your best interests at hand. Their hidden hand is the fact that there was a war on poverty. Then there was a war on drugs. Then there was a war on terror. Now there's a war on niggas. You dig what I'm saying? And they've utilized the messages and the images and the actual blood, sweat, and tears of these artists, their life force, to power that. Because when we were saying that we were gods, when we were saying that we were goddesses, when we were saying peace queen, peace god, coincidentally, a time that feels like it's come back around, a cycle that has repeated itself, what is known as the golden era. The golden era is only the golden era because there was consciousness overbalancing the nigga shit. Absolutely. Now, what you identified on BET that just took place with the award show was balance. I saw my eye. Absolutely. I saw the if not balance, I saw the attempt to balance the scales. Absolutely. Because if I had to watch Savage 21 and Little Yachi and all of these niggas and Gucci Man and the Short Bus Syndrome for the whole show, then I would have, I probably would have committed, a form of slow suicide. You know what I mean? If I would have popped the pill or some shit. But because they balanced it out, Crit, T.I., Dead Prez, shout out to the DP. You know what I mean? Even your man Sway, who doesn't have the answers, But I appreciate what he did, but the people at BT made sure to neutralize that immediately, because right after his speech, I think OG Genesis came on, you need to cut it. No, you need to cut it out, you grown-ass man, and sit your ass down and stop with the bullshit. Okay? All right.
True story. This is the Black Dot. And I approve that message. And as he mentioned, they balancing all that out on that particular show, which I was going to actually get to. But they're also taking your movement, something you feel are very passionate about, and they're commercializing it. So whenever you see everybody in the front row throwing up the fist of power, they don't really mean that. So, you know, Kaepernick kneeling, you got all people kneeling. So they have a unique way of neutralizing shit that's important to you. Hip hop is important to us. It was the voodoo given to us by the elders so that we can work our way out of it. I'm going to go back a little bit, and we're going to talk time periods. I like to talk the chaos realm when it wasn't about, there was no records, it was only tapes, or you had to be at the event live to catch a certain rhyme. I always call that the chaos realm because it was all over the place. We were still trying to manifest and figure it all out. Once we hit wax, I call that the realm of order. Now your lyrics, your energy is capsized within that 360-degree, disc with that diamond hitting it, and now it's a whole different energy. So them lyrics can be manipulated any way they want now. What they do? Scratch them, this and that, play it 100 times, this and that. So now it became order. Now, even in the first realm of order, we still hadn't figured it all out. The magic was still extremely strong. Europeans couldn't figure out what it is we were doing. And Run DMC showed up. Critical point in the game. I love Run DMC. It's not a knock on them. What they did was, because they was using that rock and roll template, it opened the door to expose our culture to those who couldn't possibly spiritually comprehend what it is we were trying to do, which led to the Beastie Boys. Now, they toured together because Run DMC opened the door for Beastie Boys, but Beastie Boys opened up a whole nother door of popularity to Run DMC. Public Enemy became the anti-balance of that. Between Beastie Boys and Public Enemy sat Run DMC. I've been to a concert that had Beastie Boys, Run DMC, and Public Enemy, and I was fucking confused. All right? Because I wanted to say, fight the power, real with all the strength, but all around me was the very devils in which the music was created. Now, that's not a knock on Public Enemy. Their message, what they did for me, my first eye was already open. So I was able to receive those messages, but it immediately became diluted and neutralized because the safety net became the Europeans who was taking the music back to their community, and we weren't receiving the powerful message. But it did lead to Rakim. It did lead to Big Daddy Kane, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubians, X-Clan, Big Daddy Kane. It did lead to them. But after that golden era, which he just spoke about, it's been all corporations. They found a way to neutralize the voodoo or take the voodoo and run it through so many filters that by the time it hits the people, it is not as potent as it used to be. Ice Cube is a perfect example. That man scared America, all right? He scared America, right? And what did they do? They gave him a movie deal. And he didn't put out revolutionary movies. He put out funny movies. So he neutralized, or they neutralized the energy that he was bringing forth. I'm not knocking him. Maybe, this is all before he had children. Maybe his children and all of that made him see things different. I'm only here to tell you, I'll give you a chronological breakdown of where this began to go wrong, and it ain't been right since. So, on came Puffy and the suits and this one and that one, and now we have devolved to what is called mumble rap. Now, let me go back to mumble rap for a second.
Don't forget Queen Latifah, how she came in the game.
With the Queen, and they started cutting these deals, and now she's Dana Owens. So we understand mumble rap is spiritual. I'm going to say that again so we don't, those who have the eye to see, because the first thing I do when I'm trying to write a new song is I mumble it to myself. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get a rhythm, right? Then from there, I'll transfer it from that particular realm onto physical paper to try to make order out of it. But the mumble is the chaos.
If anybody have ever been to charcoal class.
Right.
If anybody has ever been to art class where they teach you how to draw with charcoal, or if anybody has ever been in a pottery class, any kind of clay class, there's chaos in the beginning. Even in painting, there's a chaos, there's a blotch of paint, and then you begin to...
Absolutely. So what these artists are doing, because they on that lean and all of that old kind of stuff, they are bypassing the realm of order and just going, straight chaos for whatever comes to their mind when they're in the booth, when they're in those specific zones, and they literally mumble and say, that's a take, that's a go. Right? Now, to be on that frequency, you have to match that frequency. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say Lil Wayne's music is syrup activated. You got to be on syrup to even try to understand, fully understand. Now, you may listen, and if you're not on syrup, you're on a different frequency, so you may receive something different. If I'm on syrup, I have almost entered the frequency in which he created that shit. That's magic. So let's not just call it mumble rap. James Brown did it. Who the fuck knew what Africa Bambaataa? Okay, so we understand that there is a realm for it, but that is not supposed to be a movement. That is one individual who the spirit may have been coming through that individual, where that's the way he or she interpreted those sounds and made it manifest when they hit the booth. But now the corporations is looking for that now. So you're going to see a whole team of mumble rappers come out now, and it's all based on, again, taking something that may have been spiritual or had spiritual potential and running it through these filters to when it hits the people, it's just mumble rap.
So it's a carbon, it's a copy of facsimile, right?
Absolutely.
So what they're doing is, in hip-hop, we are hip-hop purists. So in hip-hop, as in anything that we do, it's about authenticity, meaning that we're attracted to the original, as the original man and woman and child, as the primary source. We're attracted to the carbon, the original, you know, that 0.9 shit.
Absolutely.
What they're offering you is facsimiles, or, you know, carbon copies of the original. And what you receive, like you said, they'll dilute the messianic. That's the force that I'm identifying with. Messianic force. There's a definition for messianic that means one who utilizes passion, one who utilizes his or her pain, one who utilizes that innate energy to push forth anything that you're doing in life. You know what I mean? With a purpose. So these individuals like a Rakim have manifested and demonstrated messianic forces, being able to move the crowd.
Check.
Okay? So even in the mumble rap, in the field of mumble rap, or in that era, or in that genre, there are the originators. They're ones who have that messianic mumble rap force, or that messianic flow. It is a flow. Keep in mind, Jay had multiple flows. Weezy introduced the mumble rap with one of his flows. He has multiple flows. Young Thug will be a facsimile of that original flow, but he went and took that flow and added on to it and did some other things to it, and now he's seen as the one who controls that flow. Quavo and Amigos and them, they had that 4-time flow with the double time rap, but they went into a certain formula. Okay, and then everybody began to copy them. So now they're facsimiles of something that was more pure. And then you listen to it, you like, that's a knockoff of a knockoff. They got Savage 22 out there,
Right.
knocking off Savage 21. So this generation are doing things that was never done in our generation. You had Danny Dane and you had Slick Rick. Okay, yeah, they got away with that shit. But that was his mans in them. Facts. You already know.
So they was together.
Okay.
And remember, English is not our language. So a lot of what you're hearing in the mumble realm is really that archaic sound, you know what I'm saying, that whatever comes to your mind, this is what it is. But now, look, Bob Marley music was weed activated. Was it not? I mean, you know what I mean? Because even I went to Jamaica, me and wifey went to Jamaica, we don't smoke, and we copped a bag soon as we touched down. And I was sitting there like I was 15 again, trying to roll it, and we took 4 puffs, and we walked on the boardwalk and said, we must go back to our room now. That's how powerful it was, but we were only trying to tap into Marley's energy, his frequency, while we were there. This is why most of these artists get high. Don't get it twisted. Most of them ain't depressed. It's because they want to escape this physical confine and go into a magic realm and bring something down. It's just that there's no order to it to say, let me craft this. Let me craft this into something magnificent. Let me just give it to you extremely raw, and it reverberated to where now everything is copycat, and there's no ramifications for that. Back then, like we said, you had to be original. As a matter of fact, you can only create something once. So once this flow is created, if you replicate this flow, it's a copy. So this is why when Snoop came out, you know what I'm saying, soul man down in the world, you see, that was the original flow, right? See, everybody who comes out had to have an original flow because you had to be down by law, as we said, right? This era is totally different. And if you're going to try to superimpose what we felt was authentic or what was real hip-hop to us, to them, you're going to lose every time because it's not going to make no sense. You almost have to remove what it is you know or think you know and sit down and try to understand. And understanding is key because we the elders now. So all this chaos we see running around, we created that shit because we let the industry take over what was ours, and we sat back instead of getting our Nat Turner on and fucking some people up. No, we let them take it, and now we want to sit back and criticize this generation on the crazy shit they do, and we're responsible.
We became.
Well, obviously, I respect Dead Prez, the brother Big Crit, who's been doing his thing. That was an amazing performance by him. I like Young M.A. Todd, you didn't say that, did you? I do. That's the girl who's like dykish or whatever the case may be, the one with the braids. She was the hardest MC on the stage the whole night, quiet as kept. Now, I can get into all the political stuff but here's the thing about that. It doesn't matter. How she lives her life has no bearing on my existence. So that train has already left the station. She represents the society of today. Get over it. There's a demographic. There's a demographic for her, whether you like it or not.
Hold on.
But she got bars.
She could have been. My thing for the naysayers about her, nigga, you had a grace period. Snoop came out on The Wire in what year? You niggas fell for Snoop. Right. So you already opened the door. You left the door open. You bought Omar, who was the Bocce boy, the gay shooter, the young thugger. You bought into Omar, right? He was a shooter. He was a rider. He's everything the young thug has said that he is. In position, and Omar wasn't dressing like a woman. He wasn't wearing no fucking leotards. And then you left the door open with Snoop. You didn't have a problem with her. You accepted the role of a female dyke or AG, an aggressive shooter, a killer, and that left the door. So you glad that she came in later on in the game. She came in on the Bobby Shmurda frequency and the Roddy Rebel.
Just like you all accepted, what's her name on Power, the gay girl chick. She's a police, but she's a dog.
Oh, word? I didn't watch that. I don't watch Power. I don't know. Yeah, I've been hearing about it. But anyway, yeah. But
you got stars, right?
Yeah, I got it.
But I heard based off of my research that Boyce Watkins blew her up. Boyce Watkins did a video on her trying to, he was talking down on her, and that went viral. And then she got brand recognition based off of going viral. Not to say that she wasn't buzzing before that, but there's a difference between, buzzing and going viral. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. And when the DJs and when Hot 90, when all of the radio got behind Young M.A. this summer, and they were able to push that single to where it had to go, then all of the remixes came out between all of the remixes, and then the beef came with the motherfucking Game and the Meek and all that. So, it's out of here. It's out of here.
Let me make one more point on Young M.A. Okay, again, I can give you all my personal feelings about the street black pride, and I'm with all that. I'm straight, I'm black, and I'm proud. Facts all day. But how she lives her life has absolutely no bearing on my existence. What I have to say personally is not going to make her go, damn, Black Dot don't like me. Right. Let me put a dress on. Yeah. But she can flow. At minimum, she can blow. And I've been on, checking us, her flow out. At least she respects the art form in that sense. She can't help who she is. This is who she is. So should she not have an opportunity? At least she respects the craft. And that's what I want to say about that. She respects the craft because her bars are legit.
Species terminus. The hate you gave little infants fucks everyone. If you have a problem with Young and May and you were in the crack game in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s,
You are responsible for Young and
nigga, do you understand what the fuck you were doing with those crack rocks? Do you understand the how that created chromosome imbalances and the fact that you were creating species terminus? Species terminus is the fact that black women do not want to procreate with black men anymore. Do you know that? Did you get the fucking memo? Did it arrive in your email box? Not just in the lesbian realm, not just in the realm of abortions. They don't want to procreate with black men as a this shit is a huge movement. Now you think that it's gonna get better after Hillary comes in. So all I'm saying is this: black people, we have to be more responsible for the fallout. There's the nuclear family got nuked, and the fallout is what we see in the streets when we come outside of our why grown men hoverboarding with dresses on, sundresses down 2/5. Who did that? Huh? But why do we have these conversations with these young men and young women? And how is it all of their stories are the same? Who was the motherfucker that abused them? Who touched them? Who did that to them? Where are they at? Okay? Why are they still in our community? All right? Why are these motherfuckers still breathing? So these young men and young women who are taking these routes, because a lot of them are being abused at an early age. If I could give you some of the horror, I've saved about 7 lives ever since we did the Bambaataa thing. Me personally, talking young men out of suicide, online and and they come up to my table to talk to me. Absolutely. So I'm looking at the shit like, wait a minute, these are victims. These brothers and sisters have been victimized and traumatized, and if it's either somebody has become a predator on them, or they're contemplating becoming predators towards someone else. It's a vicious cycle. So when are we going to address the fallout from not just crack cocaine, not just the war on poverty, not just with Margaret Sanger and all of them brought with Planned Parenthood, not just with the misogyny that we fell into, or that trap that we all fell into during this hip-hop experience. A lot of the things that have created this rift. Look at what they did with, look how they drummed the thing with Nate Parker and then jumped on with the Trump thing and then through some other things to the point where the nation is divided between gender lines now. They cooked that bitch up in about a few weeks. Okay. And if you pay attention, if your ears are to the ground, you understand and you realize that this war between the patriarch and the matriarch is beginning to resurface, is coming to the front. Why don't our women want to procreate and be with us anymore? That is very important. And how much does hip hop play a hand in that? Because they got dinosaurs that are still in the game recording. These niggas are at award shows. They're tweeting. They're still around, and they got a lot of blood in their hands. But they might not even realize how detrimental to our growth and development that they were. So that's what sa.neter, KTL, Rich, Black Dot, AA, Valentine, all of the teachers, all of the scholars, all of the people who are coming to open your eyes up. That is the purpose of what it is that they're here to do. We don't want to take pictures with y'all all day. We don't want to hang out and tweet. You know what I mean? That's not the job. The job is to bring forth information that can help either correct you, bring you to atone for some of the bullshit that you've done. Because at the end of the day, this is still spiritual. How is this Snoop and them is in the fucking precinct talking about all lives matter, and you know your track record, you know your catalog.
Snoop said that?
Yeah, that's your man. Yeah, we'll talk about that. You know what I mean?
You know, he hit
How Fat Joe says that he doesn't agree with Colin Kaepernick and it all lives matter. How is Lil Wayne officiating gay weddings in jail? Like, what part of the fucking game is that? You're letting down your people. You're not being who you say that you are. You said that you was a thug. You said that you was a blood. You know what I mean? You said that you about that life. Bloods don't marry gay men.
Check. All wear dresses. So, right on point. Right on point. You want to ask something, sa.neter?
Yes. I want you to go in on T.I.'s performance. What do you think about his performance?
My issue with T.I. is I think the performance is good, and I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt in terms of when they decide to wake up, because everybody wakes up at a different time. You know what I'm saying? And part of the so-called conscious community problem is we keep smacking people upside the head saying, why don't you get this? And a lot of them just don't get it until their due time. So perhaps he's at a point in his life where he's decided enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? I got to push all my chips to the middle of the table and decide to, at least shed some light. Use his influence and celebrity to shed some light on it. Now, I got big issues with T.I., because he was released from prison, and I don't know how he got out of jail and escaped all them federale charges and all of that old kind of stuff. Then he went online and did a whole public service announcement and called 1-800 TIP and basically rat each other out. That's a whole nother scenario. But what I am not going to do is get locked on that. This is my brothers and sisters, and we have to, and let me say this, it's important as we in the so-called conscious community bring forth information that we go through our own shit with a fine comb from time to time. And I do that from time to time. So this is why sometimes it may sound contradictory what I'm saying. It's that my perspective is changing. And I have nothing wrong with new perspective, because you should be able to get on these cameras and say, listen, last year I was talking this, but after further, review and understanding of things, I was wrong. I saw sa.neter get on camera about 6 months ago and apologize for the unethical journalism to a certain degree, because he was, biased towards certain people, and that was huge, because it was saying you was taking the comb, going back through your own shit and saying, wait a minute, yeah, I was dead ass wrong. I gave you much props for that, because a lot of people be wrong and strong. Don't ever be wrong and strong. So for T.I.'s perspective, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he's at the point now where it's so obvious and so blatant what's going on with our people that you can't ignore it. It's here, it's now. Everybody has a part and a role to play in it. Now, Snoop Dogg got 5 dudes who he sent to the NFL pros, 30 guys in Division I with scholarships he's got, and 100 guys getting ready to get scholarships. So for all the craziness of him bringing females on stage and dog chains and all that old craziness, he's in the game to a certain capacity. A lot of times we sit outside of the game because we know the game. We so spiritual. My son Malcolm has this saying. He said, we so awake that we need to take a nap sometime. Meaning, even in your physical essence, you still need to go to sleep from time to time. You can be awake so much that you begin to see things that ain't there. So a lot of time, you know what I mean? Mirages and shit. We get the conscious community, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I got to go, God damn, son, really? Are you serious, son? So we don't just exhale, we inhale and exhale. So even as us being awakened, I'm not saying we need to go to sleep, but we need to rest our soul. We need to participate and allow things around us to manifest so that our understanding of things becomes greater. Because I could sit here and tell you the whole game inside and out, but I'm on the outside of the game eating fucking popcorn. I ain't in the game. I got issues with Diddy, but he can get on the phone and build a charter school in Harlem. And that the reverberation for that will last 1,000 years, because you know how many kids are going to graduate? Some might become scientists, lawyers, doctors, this and that. That's his doing. Jay-Z has got a new movie set, or he's doing films now, and he's going to tell some incredible stories. Khalif Browder's story is going to be a major one. The first black sniper, African-American sniper. He's doing the Richard Pryor story. All right? Now I can go through a litany of shit that's fucked up with Jay-Z. But he's in the game. I'm not in the game. So we have to be careful of being on the outside of the game, putting pictures up and throwing darts at these motherfuckers, because we can't affect the game from the outside.
That's like when motherfuckers came out trying to condemn Parker.
Absolutely. And talk about what we don't like, because a lot of us are in time capsules. A lot of niggas have not moved forward. You know what I'm saying? They're stuck in the 70s. Them old school rappers in particular, and I love a lot of them, but they have their own fraternal order. And if you ain't put out rhymes before the 80s, you can't even talk to half them niggas. Some of them, you know, will reach out to you. They got their own thing going on. They do their own parties. They have their own, they big each other up, and they kind of drop the ball on the generation that came behind them. Now, they will rock with Rakim and Big Daddy Kane because they are direct descendants or ascendants of them. But anything beyond that, they don't mess with you in any shape, form, or fashion. Don't care about you. You are below them. Trust me. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful. We birthed all this shit. And now we want to sit back and, you know.
Hold on real quick with T.I. Brothers and sisters in the conscious community, teachers and students, we need to implement something called adopt a rapper. Mm-hmm. You need to start adopting these niggas. Mm-hmm. Find them on Twitter, sisters, goddesses, queens. You know what I mean? With your naturals. Go ahead and follow him. Okay?
Yeah.
At him. You know, these niggas are still human. They will react. All right? Absolutely. And keep it very tall, meaning in your higher self. When you interact with these rappers, you know, don't become another statistic. Utilize the power of the black goddess, the black woman, the first teacher, the nurturer, to wake your brothers up. Shame them. Make them feel bad for agreeing to be knuckle draggers. In 2016, we do have, you know, grace periods where we were allowed to be niggas. We got, yeah, we're gonna, you know, when we sit back retroactively, you niggas got 10 years where we'll be like, you won't even, the statute of liberties don't apply. The statute of limitations don't apply. You was on your nigga shit, cool. Balance. Okay? Yes. Knowing that Malcolm X had to be Detroit Red before he was Malcolm X. Had to be. Knowing that T.I. had to be T.I.P. before he becomes who he's becoming today. We don't understand this because our generation or our people, we don't have long timelines. We're not used to acquiescing to the fact that you're supposed to live out 80 years. Meaning within those 80 years, there's supposed to be an intricate balance. There's room to fuck up in this life. Okay? Some people mess up so bad that they get their lives taken from them at 16 and 15 and 14 and 13.